Hey guys, Quick and Crazy here, back again with another Star Wars Battlefront video. I'm going to be talking about Star Wars Battlefront 2 in this video, and what I perceive to be the biggest and really the only problem with the game. It looks amazing. I really love the look of Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I don't think I've been this excited for a game in a long time, like a really long time. So I'm going to preface this video by saying that I am really excited for it, and this isn't meant as hate towards the game or towards the developers. But I figured I'd probably highlight this. So the one flaw, I think the one flaw of the game, and something that a lot of players should be wary of and should know really, and that is really the presence of the Clone Wars sort of plot and era in the game, which is awesome. I love the Clone Wars, and it's my favorite thing about Star Wars. I think it's the best era and the best part of Star Wars. I know a lot of people have a lot of things to say about the prequels, but honestly, I really like them. They're my favorite Star Wars films, and you know, some of the battles in that and the characters in that are so much better than the original trilogy and the new trilogy. And I'm not saying that the original trilogy is bad or the new trilogy is bad. What I'm saying is I do really enjoy the battles. You know, the lightsaber fights are better in the prequels, is what I'm saying. And you know, the gunfights, massive, you know, ship battle at the start of Revenge of the Sith. That's what I'm saying. So I really like the Clone Wars. The fact that the Clone Wars has a presence in Star Wars Battlefront 2 is really good. However, it doesn't have a very prominent presence. It has like a 30% presence, or 32% presence in the game, obviously balanced out by the original trilogy and by the new trilogy and the new films, obviously. Now, what I'll be talking about in this video and today is how it should have been. It really should have been completely Clone Wars. So many people ask for completely Clone Wars, you know, a completely Clone Wars based game, and you know, a complete focus on the Clone Wars, because that's what most players want, and you know, it'll make for a much better sort of game and a much more fun game, because you have so many more Star Wars, so many more lightsaber battles and lightsaber duels and stuff. It would be really, really goddamn cool. It really would. However, they have not granted us that. They have not given us that, and the reason they haven't given us that is because Disney is now obviously in control of Star Wars and of, you know, Star Wars as a whole. And the Clone Wars, the whole Clone Wars side of it, so Clone Wars, the TV show, the prequels, any Clone Wars content that was made by the Lucasfilm or LucasArts film, I think it was called, whatever it was called, made by George Lucas and everything. It had nothing to, Disney had nothing to do with it. So if they just put a complete, you know, Clone Wars focus on it, it would sort of be advertising a product that isn't theirs. You know, it would be advertising something that isn't theirs. And, you know, if people played Star Wars Battlefront 2 and it was completely Clone Wars focused, and they would then go and want to watch Clone Wars stuff and see other Clone Wars content, which would mean watching the Clone Wars TV show, which isn't anything to do with Disney, and, you know, Disney were the ones that cancelled it, very, very evilly cancelled it. And the prequels, obviously Clone Wars, that would go and make people go and watch that as well, and watch the prequels and everything, which, again, Disney has nothing to do with. They want to have the new trilogy, you know, they want it to have a presence in the games, and that's cool and everything if people have asked for that, but people really have not asked for that, you know. I think the characters in the new trilogy are some of the most boring characters of really anything. That compared to the prequels, they're so goddamn boring. Like Rey, Finn, Captain Phasma. I think Kylo Ren's pretty entertaining. He reminds me of like Anakin Skywalker type character, but a little bit more dark and evil. So I like it. I do like Kylo Ren in the game, but other than that, the only cool character is Luke Skywalker, and he's a pensioner. The only other guy that really has a lightsaber and any interesting qualities. He's a pensioner now, and he's probably not going to be doing any serious lightsaber fighting or lightsaber combat in the next Star Wars film. I don't think he's even going to have much of a presence in it at all, because he's probably going to fill the role of Obi-Wan and then just kick it halfway through the film, hence the name Last Jedi. So yeah, I don't think the characters of the new trilogy are really that entertaining or really that good. So the presence in the game, it's not gonna be that great. Like I'm fantasizing about General Grievous and Darth Maul running across a map fighting goddamn, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi or Anakin Skywalker. I'm not fantasizing about frickin' playing as Finn, walking around using a standard E11 New Order blaster, and then, you know, just fighting, you know, I don't know, fighting some goddamn stormtroopers. I'm not fantasizing about that. That's not something that pops up in my mind as being amazing. It's still going to be fun and everything, but it's not something that I really, really want to see. It's the lightsabers, it's the duels, you know, Mace Windu, Grievous, Darth Maul, Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker. That's what I really want to see, and that's what basically every Star Wars fan slash Battlefront player wants to see in the next game. And DICE knows this, EA knows this, which is why the only content we've seen in the early access alpha gameplay that all the big YouTubers got to play, very luckily got to play. That's why the only reason, that's why all of that, it's only Clone Wars stuff. They didn't show any original trilogy stuff. Obviously they showed some of the original trilogy and new trilogy characters, but other than that they showed no original or new trilogy stuff. It was all Clone Wars stuff. It was on a Clone Wars map using Clone Wars weapons with a big focus on Clone Wars characters. EA, DICE, and Disney know that if they show the new trilogy characters and the new trilogy stuff and could put a complete focus on that, it's not going to get much attention, and no one's really going to care about it that much. So what they're doing is they're disguising a game that's going to be full to the back teeth of New Order, or new. I keep saying New Order. It's so annoying. New trilogy stuff. It's going to be full to the brim of new trilogy stuff. Believe me, it is, and it's going to be just full to the brim of new trilogy stuff and some original trilogy stuff, and not really that much Clone Wars stuff. They'll have some Clone Wars stuff, but not really that much. They are disguising that by using, the first bit of gameplay that people see. It's all Clone Wars. The trailer, it's got Yoda in, it's got Darth Maul in, and that's that. It's got clone troopers in. Obviously, I think it's got Rey in the trailer and stuff, but the massive focus is on Yoda and Darth Maul and all of that. It's on the Clone Wars stuff. They're advertising it as being a completely Clone Wars thing, because they know that if they did have a completely Clone Wars game, that it would be very popular. They're advertising it as that, but it's not actually going to be that. Believe me, it's not. A lot of the game is going to be new trilogy stuff and original trilogy stuff. And I think it's kind of crappy because a massive amount of the player base asked for completely Clone Wars stuff. I mean, even I'm playing Star Wars Battlefront 1 in the background right now. Even back then, I remember all you could find on the internet was people theorizing about Clone Wars DLC. No one cared about Outer Rim DLC or Bespin DLC. They were cool and everything, but no one wanted that. EA and DICE really did not listen to the fans, to the players at all. They didn't listen to them at all, and they just gave us some crappy DLC and crappy characters that we did not want. All people wanted then was Clone Wars stuff. That's all we wanted. That's all the players wanted. Like 90% of the players, that's all we wanted. And DICE and EA may have learned the lesson. I see a lot of people, talking about, oh, they've learned the lesson, they've put Clone Wars stuff in. No, the only reason they put Clone Wars stuff in is because they want to sell copies. They want people to buy copies of, they want people to buy Battlefront 2. That if it was just New Order stuff or God damn it, I said it again. If it was just new trilogy stuff, no one would want to play it because the characters are boring as hell. There's no Jedi, no Sith, well, there's one Jedi, but he's a pensioner, probably, wears adult freaking diapers. It's not that interesting. It's not that, not as awesome as the prequel characters or as, the potential prequel battles. And DICE knows this, which is why they've chucked in some of the Clone Wars stuff. The thing is, though, people talking about it like this, it's just going to be completely focused on Clone Wars. It's not. I would probably wager that it'll be about 20% Clone Wars. At release, we'll see Clone Wars stuff, obviously, but the campaign will include probably no. Well, I think they've confirmed that it's not actually going to include any Clone Wars stuff. The campaign isn't. It's going to have mostly, somewhere between original trilogy and new trilogy stuff. So the campaign's not going to have any Clone Wars stuff. Some of the DLC might have Clone Wars stuff. You might put some, might put General Grievous or Count Dooku or something into the DLCs. But most of the DLC will be new trilogy stuff. New characters that we see in The Last Jedi. Boring characters, probably. Not boring for films. They're interesting to see in films, but boring to play as. We want to see freaking lightsaber wielding, crazed Sith versus freaking awesome Jedi like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's what we want to see, but we won't see that. We'll have some crappy new trilogy DLC, and we'll likely have a DLC that includes all of the crappy characters that they added in via the DLCs for Star Wars Battlefront 1, which Nien Nub, Dengar, Bosk, all boring as hell. I mean, they're fun to play as, and obviously it's a new character, so it's still awesome. The problem is, though, that it's not what people ask for, and they're not Jedi. They're not Jedi, and they're not Sith, and it's not Darth Maul, it's not Yoda, it's not Anakin Skywalker, so they're really not anywhere near as exciting as it could have been. I can almost guarantee that the Clone Wars and Clone Wars characters will have very little to do with the game, post-launch. Everyone's hoping that it will have, a massive sort of placement in the game, and there'll be a lot of Clone Wars stuff. But the thing is, they already know that they've already made the DLC now. What they'll release in DLC in a year's time, they've already made it now. They've already decided what that DLC is going to be. So in 6 months' time, when people are asking for a certain Clone Wars character and people are thinking that DICE and EA are going to listen to them, they're not, because it's being developed now, and it's very, very likely that they're just putting some new trilogy characters into it for most of the DLC. And I guess I'll sum up the conclusion of this video is that DICE, yet again, has not really listened to people. It's not listened to the players. It's not listened to the fans. The fans say that we want Clone Wars stuff. A lot of us want Clone Wars stuff, apart from the old heads that just, hate everything Clone Wars simply because it's not identical to the original trilogy, but they're not real Star Wars fans. Again, EA, DICE, they haven't listened to the fans. The reason Clone Wars stuff is in there is because they can force, that way they can sort of disguise new trilogy stuff. They can force it down our throats rather than just be upfront and blunt about it and be like, oh yeah, we're going to put this in the game, whether you like it or not. That's basically the mentality that they've used, but the thing is they don't want people to know that that's the mentality that they've used, or that they're applying to the development of the game. So instead they hide a lot of the unwanted content behind like 10 or 20% of actually wanted content. It's just their way of forcing, content that we don't actually want down our throats. And something that really sprang to my mind just before I started recording this video is that it seems like DICE and EA, probably not DICE, generally the development teams actually care about the game. It's not usually development teams that do crappy decisions. It's the publishers, or probably Disney. It's Disney, the big company that just doesn't care about anything but making money. It's probably them. It's their way of forcing the content we don't really want down our throats. It seems like I said, it seems like they're making the game that they want rather than the game that players want. Rather than making the game that fans actually want, they're making the game that they want to make. It's not even the game that will make them the most money, because Clone Wars stuff would 100% make them the most money in the long run. But they're thinking about it short term, and they're thinking, oh, if we do Clone Wars stuff, it's just going to put more focus on the product and, on the films that we didn't make, so that's why they don't want to do it. I really hope I'm wrong about this. I do really hope I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, I don't care if I have to eat my shoe and be like, oh yeah, I was wrong, I made some claims that were completely wrong, because if that happens, then it means there's going to be a lot of Clone Wars stuff and a lot of Clone Wars content in Star Wars Battlefront 2. However, I don't think there's going to be, I would wager that there's going to be, there will be some Clone Wars content in Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I don't think there's going to be quite as much as people think. I don't think there's going to be quite as much as people think. I don't think there's going to be as many Clone Wars maps as people think, because you can really tell, it speaks volumes how DICE has spoken about it up until now. They've spoken about all, like, Kamino, they've spoken about, Boba Fett being in the game, and Jango Fett being in the game, and, Yoda being in the game, Darth Maul, obviously, in the game. They've spoken about all the Clone Wars stuff, but they've been very mysteriously quiet about, New Order stuff, and I said it again, new trilogy stuff. And that really speaks volumes, because new trilogy is definitely going to have a place in Star Wars Battlefront 2. They just don't want to talk about it, because they want people to buy the game. They don't want people to realize it. And like I said, it's their way of forcing content that we don't really want down our throats, by disguising it for content that we do actually want. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope there's going to be a ton of Clone Wars content. Ideally, in the perfect world for me and for a lot of Star Wars fans that also happen to be gamers, in the perfect world it would just be completely Clone Wars focused, and we'd just get, just Jedi every DLC. We'd get General Grievous and, freaking, I don't know, Count Dooku, another one I'd really like to see. Qui-Gon Jinn, obviously my whole freaking channel's named after Qui-Gon Jinn. For God's sake, one of my favourite all-time characters of really anything. So obviously I'd like to see Qui-Gon Jinn in the game as well. But I just don't think it's going to happen. They're probably going to balance it out. At best, I think they're going to balance it out. So, with each DLC, they'll give us one Clone Wars character, one original trilogy character, and one new trilogy character, which is okay, I guess. We still got to put up with some of the boring, not boring to watch on film, but boring to play as characters, such as like Captain Phasma and Finn. it's cool, you know, there's still cool characters and they're cool in the film and everything, but obviously I think no one's arguing that General Grievous and Darth Maul are cooler characters and cooler to watch and cooler to play as than, you know, Finn is to watch, or Finn is going to be to play as. You get what I mean? That's what I mean when I say boring. I don't mean completely boring. I just mean boring in terms of, you know, comparing it to Darth Maul, for example, or, you know, prequel characters that have lightsabers and can use the Force is what I'm saying. But that's gonna do it for this video. I figured I just kind of wanted to highlight this and give my opinion on it, which also means you guys obviously have opinions on it. Let me know what they are. I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people out there that disagree with it. I think the majority wants mostly Clone Wars stuff. We saw a lot of original trilogy stuff in the first game. I think we've seen enough for now. That's not dissing the original trilogy. I just think we've seen enough. We saw what that had to offer. Obviously, it could have been better in the first Star Wars Battlefront, but we saw mostly what that had to offer in the first Star Wars Battlefront that I'm playing right now. We saw most of, you know, we saw that, but I think most people want to see mostly Clone Wars stuff. But let me know if you disagree. The new trilogy is still awesome. I just think the prequels offer a much better, at least gaming experience. You know, some people argue that it doesn't offer a good sort of film plot and everything, or that they weren't good films. I don't mind about that. I'm not arguing that, but what I'm saying is, I don't think the prequels can be beaten by original trilogy and new trilogy stuff in terms of gaming and what I'd like to play in the game. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys find it interesting, leave a like. It would really help me out. I'd really appreciate it. If you want to see any more of my videos, definitely stick around and subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.